Welcome to this week's edition of Boxing Pick, the premier destination for boxing picks. My name is Hisham, and together with my partner Stephen Breadman Edwards, we will be previewing and breaking down the Day of Reckoning this Saturday, December 23rd from Saudi Arabia. We have focused on 3 fights to see where we can get the most value, and we will provide you with picks at the end of the clips. We have Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin in the main event. We have Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker in the co-main event. And we have chosen a third fight from this card, which is Daniel Dubois versus Jarrell Miller.
I am joined now by my partner, Stephen Breadman Edwards. Stephen, we have the Day of Reckoning coming up this Saturday, December 23rd from Saudi Arabia. We're going to jump right into the main event. We have Anthony Joshua facing off against Otto Wallin. How do you see this fight playing out, Stephen?
I think this is very risky matchmaking for Joshua because Wallin has a style similar to Usyk, and Usyk, as we know, gave Joshua fits twice. Wallin's only loss was a competitive loss versus Tyson Fury. He's a very, very good fighter. I don't understand why Joshua will fight him right now, because even if it was a thing where they were getting him ready for Wilder, he fights nothing like Wilder. He's a southpaw, he's a mover, so he's not even getting the Wilder look. I understand not wanting to fight a puncher going into setting up a mega fight with Wilder where they could ruin your chances, but I just don't understand this fight. I think that Wallin is very live. He has a good shot of winning, but with so much on the line with the Wilder Joshua fight, I don't know if he's going to get the benefit of the doubt in the decision. So my common sense tells me that Joshua will probably win a controversial decision.
The thing is, Stephen, Otto Wallin, that's a very good point. He is the most similar fighter to Usyk that's around. It is not even close. His style is really similar to Usyk, but he's just not as good. He has good feet, but he doesn't have quite as good feet as Usyk. He's not as fast in and out. He punches maybe a little bit less hard than Usyk. He's just not as good all around, although there are very, very strong similarities between them.
Yes, there is. Otto Wallin is the guy that Joshua should have used for a sparring partner to get ready for Usyk.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know about fighting him, though. Like right now, I think it's a tough fight. But I don't think that Wallin will stop Joshua. So I think that Joshua will probably win a controversial decision.
That could very likely happen. I think some of the thinking when they took the fight might have been they have faced each other 2 times as amateurs. They did that. That was 2010 and 2011. Anthony Joshua won both of those fights by decision. So could it be that he has taken confidence from those fights, although it was 12 years ago?
Sure. I mean, he's not going to lose any confidence.
That he knows that he can beat him.
Yeah, sure. He definitely built confidence because he knows he could beat him, and he beat him before. Even if it was an amateur fight, you're going to find something positive to draw from to go into a fight. I would rather have beat him than lost to him. So,
of course. The first time they fought, Stephen, was in 2010 in the big international amateur tournament that's called Haringey. I've been there one time with a few of my fighters. That's in London. They fought there 2010. Anthony Joshua won a clear decision. He was just too strong. And then it was actually only a few months after that. I think it was something like 5 months after that. They had a rematch here in Sweden. I live in Sweden. So they had a rematch here in Sweden when Sweden fought England, as a country-to-country kind of event. And he lost to him once again. It was once again very clear. So that could be in the back mind where he thinks that he did it before and he can do it again.
Sure. I definitely believe. I didn't know they fought as amateurs, but now it kind of makes sense on why he was willing to fight him again.
Yeah. And Stephen, I will tell you something very interesting that I don't think many people would have seen before. They have one common opponent as an amateur, one. And when you look at Otto Wallin's amateur record, he wasn't a standout amateur. He developed, in my opinion, very much as a professional when he started to train with Joey Gamache, and he became much, much better. As an amateur, Otto Wallin had 49 fights, and he lost, I think, something like 15 or 20 of those fights. He never even became a Swedish amateur champion, which is not, that difficult to do. He never managed to win it.
I didn't know that. That's very interesting. But I do think that Joey Gamache is a heck of a trainer. I think he was doing a hell of a job
Yes.
with Teofimo Lopez before they parted ways. He's a good trainer.
Definitely. I remember he came into the Teofimo Lopez camp. They brought him in, and he probably did a very good job, helped him win that fight.
He's good.
Stephen, how they met. Joey Gamache was based very close to where I live here. I believe he was hired by Sauerland Promotion when they were active, and he was just the head trainer for the whole promotion. So he trained 4 or 5, top fighters from around this neighborhood. That's how they met, I believe. Could have known each other before, but that's how it became. So he trained them here, like in Denmark. I believe in Copenhagen he was based. He trained him in Copenhagen or probably somewhere around here, and then they moved their camp to America a few years after that.
Okay.
And this is the interesting part. They have one common opponent, Anthony Joshua and Otto Wallin, as amateurs. They both fought a guy called Mihai Nister, and this guy knocked both of them out within 5 months. He stopped Anthony Joshua in the beginning of the 3rd round. 4 months after that, he stopped Otto Wallin in the 2nd round. That guy was a tough amateur.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that either.
Yeah. He knocked out Anthony Joshua 6 months before he went to the Olympics, but he still managed to win it. That was good. That was a good job from him.
Okay. One thing about Anthony Joshua, he has a lot of perseverance. He's come back from some tough losses, so people get on his back. But I give him credit. He takes tough fights, and he doesn't put his tail between his legs when it comes down to taking a tough fight. And if he fights Wilder, I will give him a lot of props because I think Wilder's all wrong for him. So I respect Anthony Joshua.
I agree with that. I agree. So Otto Wallin said a few days ago, he's been saying this all along, how he feels very confident. He's talking, Stephen, like he really believes that he will win the fight.
He has a great chance to win this fight. I think this is risky matchmaking with the super fight at stake. I really do. He has a great chance to win. That's all I can say. I just, I don't really. I think this is a very tough fight. He's a B+ version of Usyk, and Usyk is the guy. Wallin is the guy that he should have fought before he fought Usyk. Wallin is the guy that he should have had in Usyk's training camp. I'm not saying he can't win. I just think it's just very tough matchmaking, and it's going to be a tough fight.
In Otto Wallin's last fight, he had his career best victory when he fought and won over Murat Gassiev. And people are making a big deal out of that, which they should, because Gassiev is a very strong and tough fighter. But I have some thoughts about that fight. The first thing we have to remember is that Gassiev really he's not a big heavyweight. He was a cruiserweight, so we know that he could make the 200-pound limit just a little while ago. And the other thing is that it feels like Gassiev had his best performances when he was with Abel Sanchez. He had a few good wins. He knocked out the Cuban Juniel Dorticos. So when Gassiev fought Usyk in the final, he was really riding very high, and he still came up short there. I don't feel like the version of Gassiev that Otto Wallin faced recently, I don't feel like he's on his peak form like he was when he fought Usyk.
I agree. I agree with you. When you fight a fighter is very, very important. It's not just if you fight them. Uh, and riding high and having confidence and all those things that those things matter when you're talking about, the timing of a fight. So I agree with you totally. Gassiev was a monster at cruiserweight, but guys like him that are a little bit slow and they're big punchers, and then once they move up in weight, is not really the same. So I expected Wallin to win that fight actually, and I agree with you. That's not the same guy that Usyk fought in the finals of the World Series of boxing 4 years ago.
No, no, that's true. And still, this fight was still very close. It was very close. What I didn't see the whole fight, just saw some bits of it. And the last thing to remember about when we are comparing that Otto Wallin managed to win over Gassiev, Gassiev is nothing like Joshua either. Joshua is much better ranger, better jab, better straight, much longer reach. He reaches you from far away. You can't compare his style to Gassiev either.
I agree. I do think though that they're similar in speed, even though that Joshua was more rangier. And for
Mm,
whatever reason,
mm.
Joshua likes to throw a lot of uppercuts and hooks. So does Gassiev. Joshua, a lot of the taller heavyweights, they're kind of like 1-2 fighters, jab, right hand, where Joshua throws a lot of uppercuts and hooks. And he has a really good variety of punches, but that's what actually gets him in trouble. That's what got him knocked out with Andy Ruiz, just trading hooks with a, little guy. But Andy Ruiz's hook was just a little shorter, So it'll be interesting because for whatever reason, Anthony Joshua is very comfortable with his uppercuts and hooks. And so is Garcia. So they may not fight similar, but they have a similar variety of punches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In the last fight when we saw Joshua in his last few fights, this version of him that looks very hesitant, taking his time very much. I think that he will be more aggressive against Otto Wallin. I think he will be more aggressive. I think he will push him backwards. And you know that Otto Wallin will not be able to, I don't think he will be able to, stay in the center. He will have to just move backwards and sideways. What do you think?
I don't know. Wallin's a gutsy guy and he's scrappy, and he was in, he has some aggressive moments versus Tyson Fury. So I don't know. I'm interested to see this fight. I think it's going to be close. I'm giving a slight edge to Joshua because of what's at stake, but I don't know. Just because the guy's not a big puncher, that doesn't mean he's not physically strong. And that doesn't mean his punches aren't
It's
hurting
true.
you. So I got to see if Joshua is willing to deal with it. And Wallin has a pretty good straight left hand to the gut, and that kind of slows everybody down. So I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see this fight. I think Joshua has his work cut out for him.
Yes, it's true. I just feel like Joshua will be too strong that he will feel it. I don't think that he will be able to really stand his ground without feeling the danger from Joshua. I really don't. I know some people are really high on Otto Wallin's chances in this fight. I really don't see him winning this fight. I know that he's a good boxer. It's just I think that his style will not work against Joshua's. I really don't.
All right. Well, we agree. Let's go,
But what
Joshua,
do you
by the
think,
stick.
Stephen? The line is the best line you can find on Joshua is a minus 350. I still think that's worth it, but I don't feel that we could specify if we are to pick Joshua, for example, if we agree on that. I don't think you can specify if he will win by decision or knockout because most likely it is a decision, but you can't be sure that it doesn't hurt him. I would be content with just picking Joshua to win if you also believe it.
That's fine. Let's go with Joshua with the win.
And also, that if the fight is close, and the reports that the next fight is signed, it should go Joshua's way.
I don't want to get into that because everything's supposed to be 100% objective, but obviously it's lingering over the fight. So, and it probably will play a factor, but I don't want to say that until we see what's going on. I don't even know who the judges are. So I want to be fair with them, but it's tough for Wallin to come in knowing that the super fight that everybody wants to see is next in line. So that's tough for Wallin.
Yeah, that's true. So we agree on Joshua to win the fight, minus 350.
Yes, yes.
All right. So the play for this fight is Anthony Joshua to win the fight, which you can find currently in some places still at minus 350, but it's getting more expensive, so you have to hurry up with that. All right, Stephen. We'll move up. We'll move on to the next fight. We have Deontay Wilder facing off against Joseph Parker. I've seen the build up to this fight, and they both have a lot of respect for each other. I kind of like that, actually. They'll still fight very hard in the ring, but a lot of respect between these two men, and both guys are feeling very confident. How do you see this fight playing out?
I like Wilder in this fight by knockout within the first 6 rounds.
That's exactly what I thought also. That's the most likely thing to happen.
Yep.
But
I just think Joseph Parker, he reacts a little bit slow, and he's seen better days. And the one thing about Wilder is very, very fast, and he's very quick. For all of the shortcomings people talk about his boxing ability, he's very fast, very, very quick with his first step. And with a style like his, ring rust might not.
Yeah.
He might not have a lot of ring rust because he doesn't do a lot of technical boxing moves anyway. Basically, what he's trying to do is just land that one punch. So as long as he still has his quickness and his speed, you know, the ring rust might not show up on him. So I think he's going to knock Joseph Parker out.
Lost you a little bit, Stephen. Let me see if we can get you back. Do you hear me?
Yep.
Could you please repeat the last thing you said?
I said that ring rust may not show up on a guy like Wilder as much because he doesn't do a lot of technical moves. What he's basically trying to do is just land one shot. So, you know, a lot of times where guys, they have a lot, you know, they need a lot to get them going. That's where you see the ring rust. But with him, basically, he's trying to land one shot. So as long as he still has his speed and reflexes, he should be okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we have seen that Joseph Parker has been down in several fights recently. Yep. He's been down against Dillian White, he's been down against Derek Chisora, and he's been knocked out by Joe Joyce recently. So we know that he can be hurt. And none of those guys punches as fast and hard as Deontay Wilder, of course.
Yep.
But Joseph Parker is saying that he's never felt this way before. He says that he has been improving and that he has fought already 2 times this year and that Deontay Wilder has been inactive. But like you said, that might not make as much difference.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I think Deontay Wilder is going to be fast and he's going to land that shot. And I don't think Parker has slow reaction time. He just reacts slow to punches. And Wilder's the one guy that you don't want to fight like that. Look for Wilder. Wilder has this little thing when the referee breaks him, he'll like allow himself to be broke. And as soon as the referee waves the action back on, he steps in real quick with a shot. And the heavyweight, they just can't time it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We feel the same way about this fight. But what do you think about the line? You can find Wilder to win by knockout. You're going to have to pay a little bit for that. You can find it at minus 300 right now. Wilder to win by knockout. Is it good enough?
That. Yep.
Yeah. I like that too.
Especially if you
Could you see this fight? Yes.
Especially if you can get some value in the first half of the fight.
Say it again, please.
If you can get some value in the first half of the fight.
Okay. Let me just see that real quick. We'll see exactly what the value is for that. Just give me 1 second. Mm-mm. Rounds 1 to 6. Steven, could you see this fight ending very early, say like the first or second round?
Sure. Sure.
Lost you there again.
Sure, it can. But I do want to give Parker some credit. You know, he may last a couple of rounds, but I do think ultimately he's going to get stopped. So I don't want to say a first,
Yeah.
or second round knockout, but it could definitely end early.
Yes. So I saw, Steven, that Deontay Wilder to win by knockout rounds 1 to 6 you can currently find at Bet365. You have a price of plus 137.
That's
That's
not
pretty
bad.
good value, isn't it?
That's good value.
That's pretty good. Do you think that
Yep.
should be our main play? Just Wilder to
Yes.
win rounds 1 to 6?
Yes.
All right, I agree with you. So that is the play. Deontay Wilder to win the fight in rounds 1 to 6 at a price of plus 137. All right. Our last fight to break down on this card will be Jarrell Miller facing off against Daniel Dubois. What do you make of this fight?
Man, it's hard to tell. Dubois has some talent, but he kind of, he seems to break down a little bit mentally. He got a little comfortable losing, in my opinion. And when a fighter is comfortable losing, that's dangerous. And with Miller, we don't know what we're gonna get, because of the, his out of the ring issues or whatever. So I don't know. I could see Miller getting in his head and beating him. I can't really call this fight. I honestly can't. I don't know. I don't know what to make of the Bulls. I don't know what to make of a guy that's that comfortable losing. And I haven't seen Miller in such a long time. I literally haven't seen him fight since before his issue with Deontay Wilder when that fight got canceled. So I have no idea what kind of form he's even in as a fighter.
Well, one thing we know, Stephen, is that he, I believe he weighed in at when they arrived in Saudi Arabia, somebody weighed them. I believe I saw a report. He's weighing higher than he ever has in his life before. He's weighing pretty high. That's what I read. I can't confirm it 100%, but he looks heavy. He's a big guy.
Oh yeah. See, I didn't know that. This is a hard fight to tell. So I don't have a real opinion over it because I have no idea what Daniel Dubois is doing. I have no, I just it's a lot of bizarre stuff that I see with him and the way he reacts to different things. And I know that Big Baby Miller, he's a tough guy. He's the kind of guy he'll agitate you. So he might take his heart. I don't know, but I haven't seen Miller in so long that I don't want to advise anybody to bet on a guy that I haven't seen fight in like 4 or 5 years. I don't know what he looks like now. And that's a long time to be off, or is having weight issues. I just don't know anything about this fight.
I saw in Miller's last fight, he looked plodding, moving forward, throwing punches, but he doesn't look like he used to, in my opinion. If you remember, before he got caught for his PD issues, that was official. Before that, I always thought it was very strange. I don't know if you just noticed this. A guy of his size, weighing as much as he did, he threw almost 100 punches per round in some of his fights. He never tired.
Busy. Yeah, he was very busy.
He was very busy. And his opponents never really could handle it because nobody that big, that heavy, that strong throws as many punches. He just, kept them going.
Yeah, he definitely had a good engine on him. But if you say you saw him and he looked plotty, let's go with the Bulls by decision. I mean, that's because I haven't seen him, so I got to just feed off of whatever you saw. So I really don't know what Miller looks like.
Stephen, have you ever seen Jarrell Miller hurt?
Say that one more time.
Have you ever seen Jarrell Miller hurt?
No, he seems to have a good chin. He seems to have a really good
He
chin.
has a
Like
good
he has
chin,
like,
right?
yeah, he has a good foundation. He has a good chin. He kind of absorbs. He has the shock absorbers, big, traps. So he seems to take a good shot. He definitely does. So I don't know if the Bulls can stop him. Maybe he'll outwork him. Going by what you saw in Miller's last fight, because I didn't see his last fight.
We know that Dubois, he punches very hard. Also, he punches very hard. Um, I'm just wondering because, like you said, I have never seen Jarrell Miller hurt. I, I think if Daniel Dubois would hit him hard early in the fight, you could see him knocking Jarrell Miller out. But the thing is, we've never seen Jarrell Miller hurt, and that's what worries me because if the fight drags on, like you said, like we've seen with Daniel Dubois, he's been broken down in fights. 2 times it happened. And you just don't know if this fight goes 6, 7, 8 rounds and Jarrell Miller is just on him throwing punches. He might fold again. Really, could happen.
It could definitely happen. And Miller's the kind of guy, he can smell when the guy is afraid or has any issues. He
We
looks like
lost you, Stephen. Please repeat it again. We
I
lost you,
said
Stephen. Say it
Miller
again.
Miller seems to be the kind of guy that can smell if a guy is having any mental reservations. So the
He
longer
said
this
it.
fight go, the better it is for Miller.
Yeah, that's true. And if you look at the odds for this fight, Dubois is a pretty big favorite, minus 333. Miller you can find at a plus 250. But this could be, Stephen, one of those fights that maybe there just isn't no value. But the thing I was looking at before that I was a little bit curious. It was if this fight goes the distance or not, and I don't believe it goes the distance. The odds for that is it goes the distance is plus 110. It doesn't go the distance minus 150, and I felt like the minus 150 could be good value. What do you think about that?
I don't know, because we only going by if you like the fight to go to end in a knockout, then that means you're leaning towards Miller, because we haven't seen Miller hurt, and we've seen the Bulls stop twice, and we've seen the Bulls down numerous times. So if
Yeah.
you feel that way, then you're leaning towards Miller. So you may as well just take Miller by upset if you feel like it's going to end in a KO, because neither one of us has seen Miller hurt, and I definitely, anybody could be knocked out, but I wouldn't advise anyone, or I wouldn't do it myself, bet the Bulls by knockout against a big, strong guy that I've never
No.
seen hurt before. So if you feel like that,
No, I meant
then take.
yes. No, I meant Stephen. I meant with if we would look at the not go the distance, then we would have two options. One of them is like one way it could go is if Dubois would catch him early. It could happen. He's a big puncher. And the other option would be if he doesn't catch him early and he starts breaking down and Miller stops him late. Then we would be covered on both of those ends. But I'm not very confident in this fight, and you don't feel confident either in either of these picks, right?
No, I'm not. I don't actually. I'm kind of like going. I'm 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 feeding off of you with this one, because you saw Miller in his last fight. I didn't, so I don't even know what kind of form he's in.
But maybe this is one of those fights that we could just leave it and we observe it and we'll know more about them for the next fight. Should we just leave this fight alone and concentrate on the other two we found picks for?
That's fine. That's fine.
It will be very interesting to see them back and see what they have left.
Yeah, it will be. I'm curious also.
All right, everybody. No official picks for this fight. We're just going to observe and we're going to know more about them for the next time.
Thank you very much for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. If this is your first time visiting our channel, we'd like to welcome you and thank you for being with us. Please do subscribe to our channel. That helps us grow, and ring the bell so you always get notified when we upload new videos. Thank you very much. See you next time.